The signal from beyond. Commander Eliza Chen stared at the data scrolling across her monitor, her coffee long forgotten. The rhythmic pulsing of the signal didn't match any known communication protocol, yet its pattern was too regular to be natural cosmic noise. 3 weeks she'd been tracking it, and 3 weeks it had refused to yield its secrets. Still obsessing over your ghost signal. Lieutenant Torres dropped into the chair beside her, sliding a fresh mug across the desk. "It's not a ghost," Eliza said, accepting the coffee without looking away from the screen. "Something's out there, Torres. Something intelligent." Helios Station hung in the cold emptiness between Mars and Jupiter, Earth's farthest permanent deep space monitoring post. Its primary mission was to scan for resource-rich asteroids and provide early warning of cosmic threats. Finding alien communications wasn't in the job description, but Eliza couldn't ignore what she was seeing. "Have you told Command yet?" Torres asked, peering at the waveform analysis. "And say what?" "That I found something that might be alien, might be a natural phenomenon, might be equipment malfunction." Eliza shook her head. "I need more data." "You need sleep, Commander." She was right, but Eliza had given up on proper sleep weeks ago. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the signal's rhythm pulsing through her dreams. Something was calling out there in the darkness. Something was dying. "Just 1 more hour," she promised, knowing it was a lie. The breakthrough came at 3:47 station time. Eliza had written an algorithm to analyze the signal against every known language and communication protocol in Earth's databases. It had been running for days without success, but this time, when she checked the results, the screen flashed green. "Match found. Confidence level 82%. The computer announced. Eliza sat up straight, fatigue forgotten. Display analysis. The signal wasn't a language, it was mathematical. A repeating sequence of prime numbers, exponential growth patterns, and what appeared to be star positioning data. Universal constants that any technological civilization would recognize. But beneath the mathematics was something else, something the computer had flagged as emotional content. "That's impossible," Eliza muttered. Machines couldn't detect emotions in raw data. Yet when she listened to the audio conversion of the signal, she felt it too. A sense of urgency, of fear. "Computer, how far away is the source?" "Signal origin approximately 97.4 light-years from current position. Originating from Sector 12B, Quadrant 9. Eliza's fingers froze over the keyboard. Sector 12B was uncharted space, far beyond the boundaries of explored territory. No human vessel had ever ventured there. The only reason they even had a designation for it was because of the Arcturians, Earth's first and closest alien allies, who had specifically warned humans to avoid that region. When asked why, their ambassador had simply said, "There are things in the darkness that should remain undisturbed." 3 days later, Eliza stood before the United Earth Council, the governing body responsible for humanity's space exploration and diplomatic relations. She had expected resistance, skepticism, even ridicule. What she hadn't expected was fear. "You want us to send a ship into forbidden space based on what might be a distress call from an unknown species." Admiral Zhang's voice echoed in the chamber. "Commander Chen, you're asking us to violate our treaty with the Arcturians and potentially provoke an interstellar incident." "I'm asking us to do what humans have always done," Eliza countered. "Someone's calling for help. We answer." Ambassador Tilarin of the Arcturian Confederation rose from her seat. Unlike humans, Arcturians were slender, moving with a fluid grace that made them appear almost ghost-like. Their translucent skin revealed the gentle pulse of multiple hearts. "We respect humanity's compassion," Tilarin said, her voice like chimes in a soft breeze. "It is why we chose your species as our first contact. But there are regions of space designated as forbidden for good reason. The signal you have detected may not be what you believe it to be." "Then tell us what it is," Eliza challenged. "If you know something about that sector, share it with us." The room fell silent. Tilarin's eyes, large, multifaceted like an insect's, reflected the chamber's light as she considered her response. "We cannot," she finally said. "Some knowledge is not ours to give. I can only warn you that no ship that has entered that sector has ever returned." Admiral Zhang sighed. "Then the matter is settled. We respect our allies' boundaries and—" "No," a new voice interrupted. President Okafor, who had been silent throughout the debate, leaned forward. "It is not settled." All eyes turned to her. "Ambassador Tulerin," the president continued, "we value your alliance and your wisdom. But if someone is calling for help, and we have the means to respond, we cannot in good conscience ignore it. Humanity did not reach the stars by hiding from the unknown." The admiral shifted uncomfortably. "Madam President, with all due respect, prepare the UES Dauntless," President Okafor ordered. "Commander Chen, you'll accompany the mission as our signal expert. Admiral, select your best crew. If there's someone in trouble out there, we're going to find them." As the council chamber emptied, Eliza approached Tulerin, who remained seated, her expression unreadable. "Why is your people so afraid of that sector?" Eliza asked quietly. Tulerin's gaze seemed to see through Eliza, beyond her. "It is not fear that guides us, Commander. It is memory. Your species is young among the stars. You have not yet learned that not everything that calls out should be answered." The UES Dauntless was humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, part exploratory ship, part battlecruiser. Originally designed for first contact missions, it had been retrofitted with enhanced shields and weapons systems after Earth's brief but brutal conflict with the Draxian raiders 3 years earlier. If there was any human ship capable of venturing into unknown territory and returning safely, this was it. Captain Malcolm Reynolds watched the crew prepare for departure from the bridge viewport. 20 years in Earth's space forces had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now every instinct was screaming that this mission was a mistake. But orders were orders. "Commander Chen," he acknowledged as Eliza stepped onto the bridge. "Welcome aboard. I understand we're heading into the abyss because of you." "Because of a distress signal, Captain," she corrected, unperturbed by his tone. "Someone needs help." "So I've been told." Reynolds gestured to an empty station. "That's yours. I want continuous analysis of that signal as we approach. Any changes, any new information, I hear about it immediately." "Yes, sir." Eliza settled into the seat, already connecting her personal datapad to the ship's systems. "All stations report ready, Captain," First Officer Yamamoto announced. Reynolds nodded. "Then let's go fishing in troubled waters. Lieutenant Park, take us out." The Dauntless slipped free of Earth's orbital dock, its massive fusion engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. As the ship accelerated, the stars outside began to blur. The journey would take 3 weeks, even with the Dauntless's advanced propulsion system. 3 weeks to cross a distance that light itself needed nearly a century to traverse. The miracle of fold space technology, humanity's greatest scientific achievement, allowed them to bend reality itself, creating temporary shortcuts through the fabric of space-time. But fold space navigation wasn't perfect. Each jump required massive energy and precise calculations. A ship could only jump a certain distance before needing to reorient, and the process took a toll on both vessel and crew. Many described the sensation as having their souls stretched thin and snapped back like rubber bands. Eliza spent most of the journey in her assigned lab, refining her analysis of the signal. As they drew closer to its source, the transmission became clearer, revealing new layers of complexity. What had initially appeared to be mathematical formulas now seemed more like machine code, instructions for something. 2 weeks into their journey, Captain Reynolds called a briefing for senior officers. "We'll be making our final jump in 12 hours, he announced to the assembled team. "That puts us at the edge of Sector 12B. Commander Chen has an update on our mysterious caller." All eyes turned to Eliza, who activated the holographic display in the center of the table. "The signal has changed," she began. "It's become more complex, almost adaptive. I believe it's responding to our approach. A murmur ran through the officers. How is that possible? Asked Chief Engineer Catry. We haven't transmitted anything to announce our presence. No, but our fold space jumps create ripples in spacetime, Eliza explained. Any sufficiently advanced civilization would detect those disturbances. So they know we're coming, Reynolds concluded. That changes the scenario from rescue to potential first contact, or potential trap. I don't think it's a trap, Eliza said firmly. I've been listening to this signal for weeks now. There's pain in it, desperation. Someone is dying out there. Medical Officer Dr. Liu raised an eyebrow. Commander, with all due respect, you can't detect emotions in radio waves. Maybe not scientifically, Eliza admitted, but sometimes understanding goes beyond science. Reynolds straightened in his chair. Regardless, we proceed with caution. Full shields upon final jump. Weapons systems on standby. I want evac protocols reviewed and ready. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst, his officers finished in unison. The final jump was rougher than the previous ones. As the Dauntless tore through the fabric of spacetime, alarm systems briefly flared to life before subsiding. When the viewing screens cleared, they showed a region of space unlike any they had seen before. Stars seemed dimmer here, as if something was absorbing their light. Dust clouds hung in strange formations, too geometric to be natural. And directly ahead, orbiting a dwarf star on the edge of its life cycle, was an artificial structure. Magnify, Reynolds ordered. The image expanded, revealing a massive ship, if ship was even the right word. It resembled a series of interconnected rings, spinning slowly around a central axis. Its surface was ridged with what might have been technology or perhaps organic growth. Parts of it glowed with internal light, while others remained dark, lifeless. That's the source of the signal, Eliza confirmed, her voice barely above a whisper. Life signs? Reynolds asked. Lieutenant Commander Okaw, head of sensors, shook his head. Inconclusive, sir. Our scans can't penetrate their hull material. But there is significant energy output, suggesting functional systems. It's damaged, Engineer Catry observed, pointing to a section of the ring structure that appeared fractured. See those energy fluctuations. Their power core is unstable. Reynolds studied the alien vessel silently. After a moment, he made his decision. Take us in, Lieutenant Park. Slow approach, keep shields at maximum. Yamamoto, prepare an away team. Commander Chen, you're with them. This whole mission exists because of your signal. As the Dauntless drew closer, the alien ship grew more ominous in the viewing screens. Its scale became apparent, at least 4 times larger than their vessel, perhaps much more. The damaged section leaked a strange luminescent material into space, creating an ethereal cloud around the ship. Captain, Okaw called out, his voice tense. I'm detecting movement. Something's launched from the alien vessel. Weapons status, Reynolds demanded. Negative on weapons, Okaw replied, studying his readings. It appears to be a data packet, directed specifically at us. Eliza's console lit up as the transmission hit the Dauntless's communication array. Complex code streamed across her screen, rearranging itself faster than she could process. They're sending us something, she announced. It's massive. Star charts, mathematical formulas, what looks like historical records. Is it safe? Reynolds asked. Before Eliza could answer, the alien data restructured itself on her screen. Symbols coalesced into recognizable patterns, English letters forming words. HLPUS. They are coming. We HAVBENUAITMPAF4. Humans. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. An unknown alien species in unknown space had not only recognized them as human, but had adapted their transmission into perfect English in a matter of seconds. How do they know who we are? Yamamoto voiced what everyone was thinking. More importantly, Reynolds said, eyes fixed on the message, Who are they? As if in answer, Eliza's console erupted with new information. Images flashed across the screen. Star systems vanishing in sequence, planets reduced to ash, entire civilizations extinguished. And behind it all, shapes moving through the darkness between stars, vast and ancient and hungry. "Captain," Eliza said, her voice shaking, "I think I understand why the Arcturians warned us away from this sector." The alien ship's rings began to spin faster, its damaged section venting more of the luminescent material. When the next message appeared, it carried a sense of desperate urgency. "No time. Board now. Bring the gift of humanity. It is you are no. Help." Outside the viewport, the darkness between stars seemed to deepen, as if something was gathering there, watching them, waiting. The signal that had brought them across the galaxy pulsed one final time, stronger than ever. It no longer felt like a cry for help. It felt like a warning. Humanity's response. Captain Reynolds stared at the boarding team on the shuttle deck, their faces illuminated by the harsh white lights. 12 people who might never return if this went wrong. "This isn't a democracy," he said, cutting through the heated debate that had erupted after the alien message. "But I won't order anyone to board that vessel. This is volunteer only." Eliza stepped forward immediately, ongoing. One by one, others joined her: Yamamoto, Dr. Liu, Engineer Katri, and 8 security personnel led by Lieutenant Commander Vega. Their expressions were grim but determined. "The ship will maintain position and stand ready for emergency extraction," Reynolds continued. "You have 2 hours before I consider you compromised. If you find survivors, prioritize their evacuation. If you find hostiles," he let the sentence hang. "We'll handle it," Vega assured him, checking her pulse rifle. As the team suited up in their EVA gear, Eliza caught Dr. Liu studying her. "You don't have combat training," the doctor noted. "Yet you're the first to volunteer for a potentially suicidal mission." Eliza secured her helmet. "I spent weeks listening to their call. I brought us here. If something goes wrong, I should be the one to face the consequences." Liu's expression softened. "That's very human of you, Commander. Is there any other way to be?" The shuttle detached from the Dauntless with a soft thud, thrusters firing as it navigated toward the alien vessel. Up close, the ship's surface revealed intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. The damaged section gaped like an open wound, internal lights flickering within. "There's an intact docking port on the outer ring," Yamamoto reported from the pilot's seat. "Systems are showing compatible atmospheric pressure. They've adapted for us." "Or they're setting a trap," Vega muttered. The shuttle aligned with the alien docking mechanism, which reconfigured itself to match their airlock specifications. Metal groaned against metal as the systems connected. "That's incredible adaptive technology," Chatri whispered, watching readings on her tablet. "Their ship is literally rewriting its own structure to accommodate us." When the airlock cycled green, Vega positioned her team in standard entry formation. "Remember, we're guests until proven otherwise. Weapons ready but not aimed." The inner door slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in soft blue light. The architecture defied human design principles. Walls curved in impossible angles, surfaces that appeared solid from one perspective seemed transparent from another. Gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth standard. "Air is breathable," Liu confirmed, checking her readings. "No detectable pathogens. Temperature is 19 degrees Celsius. They've adjusted their environment for us." "They really were expecting humans specifically," Yamamoto observed. The team moved deeper into the ship, their footsteps echoing strangely on the metallic floor. Periodically, the walls pulsed with light that seemed to follow their movement, tracking them. "I think the ship itself is alive," Chatri said, running her scanner over a wall segment. "Or at least semi-organic. These patterns resembled neural pathways. After navigating a series of corridors that seemed to rearrange themselves around them, they emerged into a vast chamber. The ceiling arched hundreds of meters overhead, decorated with what looked like a map of the galaxy. In the center of the room stood a crystalline structure resembling a tree, its branches extending toward the ceiling. At its base, gathered around a pulsing core of light, were the ship's occupants. They were tall, willowy beings with translucent skin that revealed complex circulatory systems beneath. Their heads bore no recognizable facial features except for multifaceted eyes that reflected light like diamonds. There were perhaps 30 of them, many lying prone while others tended to them. "They're dying," Dr. Liu whispered, her medical scanner already evaluating their life signs. "Their cellular structure is breaking down." One of the aliens separated from the group and approached the humans. It moved with a fluid grace despite obvious physical distress. When it spoke, the sound emerged not from the creature itself, but seemed to vibrate from the walls around them. "You came. We calculated only a 12% probability that you would answer our call." Eliza stepped forward. "We heard someone who needed help. That's all we needed to know." The alien's eyes shifted, fragments of light refracting differently. "Fascinating. Your species acts on emotion rather than calculation. This confirms our analysis." "Who are you?" Yamamoto asked. "How do you know our language?" "We are the last remnants of a civilization that once spanned 1,000 star systems. We know your language because we have been watching the development of your species for hundreds of your years. You were our contingency plan." The words hung in the air, ominous and confusing. Contingency for what? Vega demanded, her hand tensing on her weapon. The alien gestured toward the ceiling map, which shifted to display a region of space near their current position. Within it, pinpoints of light were systematically blinking out. "We call them the Void. They are ancient, perhaps as old as the universe itself. They consume consciousness, erase civilizations, and leave only emptiness behind. They have hunted us across the galaxy for millennia." "Why?" Eliza asked. "Because we learned their nature, because we tried to warn others." The alien's form shimmered, its translucent skin revealing organs that pulsed with weakening light. "They are coming here now. They sensed your arrival." Alarm spread through the human team. Vega immediately contacted the Dauntless, but only Static answered. "Communications are being jammed," she reported grimly. "Not jammed," the alien corrected. "Eaten. The Void consumes information, energy, thought itself. That is why we needed you." "What can we possibly do against something that destroys entire civilizations?" Liu demanded. The alien approached Eliza directly, its luminescent eyes studying her with unsettling intensity. "Your species possesses something unique in the galaxy, something we discovered in our observations. You create, not just tools or technologies. You create ideas, arts, emotions that have no practical purpose. You imagine things that do not exist, and then make them real through sheer determination. The Void cannot comprehend this. It feeds on predictable patterns, on logical progressions. Human minds are chaotic to them, poisonous." The ship shuddered violently, throwing several team members off balance. On the ceiling map, darkness spread over nearby star systems like spilled ink. "They're here," the alien announced, its voice vibrating with new urgency. "We must transfer the archive." "What archive?" Katri asked. The alien gestured to the crystalline tree structure, the sum total of our civilization's knowledge, our history, our science, our essence. 10,000 years of existence. Understanding dawned on Eliza. "That's what your distress call contained. Instructions for how to receive this data." "Yes, we needed a species capable of housing our knowledge yet resistant to the Void. You are that species." The ship shook again, more violently. Throughout the chamber, dying myth began to glow brighter, their light pulsing in synchronized rhythm. "How do we get your archive back to our ship?" Yamamoto asked. The alien's eyes dimmed momentarily. "You misunderstand. The ship will not survive. You must carry the archive within yourselves." Before anyone could respond, the crystalline tree began to fragment, dissolving into particles of light that swirled through the chamber. Then gathered around the humans, their forms becoming increasingly translucent. "Wait," Eliza shouted. "What's happening?" "We are giving you our legacy," the lead nth explained, its voice now barely audible. "Your minds will protect it until you can return to your world. The void cannot extract it from your chaotic thought patterns." The particles of light surrounded the human team, dancing across their skin, seeping through their suits. Eliza felt a strange warmth spreading through her mind, followed by flashes of memories that weren't hers. Alien cities beneath twin suns, mathematical concepts beyond human understanding, emotions with no names in any Earth language. Dr. Liu's medical scanner wailed in alarm. "Our neural activity is off the charts. This could kill us." "Necessary risk," Thunth responded. "Your captain approaches with your vessel. You must reach it before the void completely manifests." As if on cue, the deck beneath them lurched sickeningly. Through the transparent sections of the chamber walls, they could see space itself seeming to bend and warp. Stars vanished one by one, replaced by an emptiness darker than mere absence of light. "Move," Vega ordered, grabbing Eliza's arm and pulling her toward the corridor they had entered through. Back to the shuttle. They ran, struggling to focus as alien knowledge cascaded through their consciousness. 2 security personnel collapsed, overwhelmed by the neural input. Dr. Liu and Yamamoto dragged them forward while Vega and her remaining team provided cover against a threat they couldn't see or understand. Behind them, the vast chamber began to collapse, the crystalline tree now completely dissolved. Thunth remained, their forms barely visible now, facing the encroaching darkness with what Eliza somehow recognized as acceptance. The corridors shifted around them, the living ship guiding them back to their shuttle, even as sections of it disintegrated into nothingness. By the time they reached the airlock, 3 more team members had fallen unconscious. "Get them inside," Yamamoto shouted, helping lift a collapsed engineer through the door. Eliza turned back one last time. The corridor behind them was gone, replaced by a void that seemed to absorb sound, light, even thought itself. At its edge stood the last of them, its form now little more than an outline of light. "Remember us," it said, its voice now inside Eliza's mind. "And beware the silence between stars." Then it was gone, consumed by the advancing darkness. The shuttle detached from the dying alien vessel seconds before the docking port collapsed. Yamamoto pushed the engines beyond safety limits, racing back toward the Dauntless as the ship began to implode behind them. "Dauntless, this is First Officer Yamamoto. Emergency extraction. I repeat, emergency extraction." Captain Reynolds's voice crackled through the comm, thick with interference. "Reading you. What in God's name is happening out there?" "No time to explain, sir. We need immediate pickup and maximum burn away from this position." Through the shuttle viewport, Eliza watched as the massive alien vessel collapsed in on itself. The darkness that had consumed it continued to spread, reaching toward them like hungry tentacles. But something else was happening too. The particles of light that had entered their bodies were responding, creating a faint barrier around the shuttle that the darkness seemed reluctant to penetrate. When they finally docked with the Dauntless, medical teams were waiting. The unconscious team members were rushed to sickbay, while Reynolds pulled the others directly to the bridge. "Talk fast," he ordered as the ship's engines roared to life. "What are we running from?" "Something that eats stars," Eliza replied, her vision blurring as more alien memories surfaced in her mind. "Something ancient." Thunth called it the void. On the view screen, the darkness had fully engulfed the space where the alien ship had been. It was spreading outward, consuming everything in its path. "How do we fight it?" Reynolds demanded. "We don't," Yamamoto answered, gripping the console as a wave of alien knowledge threatened to overwhelm him. "We run. And we protect what Thunth gave us." Reynolds looked at his officers, noticing for the first time the faint luminescence that seemed to shimmer beneath their skin. What did they do to you? Gave us their civilization, Eliza explained, forcing herself to focus through the cascade of alien thoughts. Their knowledge, their history, their essence. They were being hunted by the void because they found a way to warn others about it. Now that knowledge is in us. Lieutenant Park, maximum fold space jump now. Reynolds ordered. Sir, we don't have a calculation locked in. Anywhere is better than here. As the Dauntless's engines charged for the jump, the darkness reached the edge of their sensor range. Systems began to fail across the ship, lights flickering as energy was pulled away. It's draining our power, Engineer Caffrey reported, her hands flying over the emergency controls. Fold space drive is losing containment. Eliza stumbled to the navigation console, pushing aside the officer stationed there. Her fingers moved with unnatural precision, inputting coordinates she shouldn't have known. What are you doing? Reynolds demanded. Then knew this would happen, she replied, her voice strange, layered with harmonics that weren't human. They left instructions in us. Trust me, Captain. The darkness was nearly upon them when the fold space drive engaged. Reality twisted around the Dauntless as it tore through space-time, fleeing from the ancient hunger that had claimed so many civilizations before. When they emerged from fold space, they were in an uncharted region thousands of light years from where they had started. And they were changed. In the weeks that followed, the full impact of what had happened began to manifest. The human crew members who had been exposed to the archive developed abilities that defied scientific explanation. They could access knowledge they had never learned, speak languages that had been extinct for millennia, and perceive patterns in reality that others couldn't see. Dr. Liu discovered that the particles had integrated with their neural pathways, creating new connections and enhancing their cognitive abilities. But it came at a cost. Their human minds weren't designed to contain an entire alien civilization. Without intervention, the knowledge would eventually overwhelm them. 3 crew members died before they found a solution. A method to transfer portions of the archive into Earth's most advanced quantum data networks, distributing the burden. Even then, those who carried the memories were forever altered, existing in a space between human and something else. When the Dauntless finally returned to Earth 6 months after its departure, the galaxy had changed. The void had consumed 17 star systems in Sector 12B before seemingly withdrawing. The Arcturians, upon learning what had happened, broke their centuries-long silence about the ancient threat. You have carried the light of a dead civilization through the darkness, Ambassador Telerin told Eliza during a private meeting after their return. No other species has ever survived direct contact with the void. Perhaps we were wrong about humanity's place among the stars. In the years that followed, the knowledge contained in the archive transformed human technology, philosophy, and understanding of the universe. Weapons were developed that could theoretically harm the void if it ever returned. Alliances were formed with species that had once viewed humans with suspicion or disdain. But most importantly, a message spread throughout the galaxy. A message carried by human ships venturing into regions where others feared to go. A message whispered in the chambers of the Galactic Council. A message that eventually reached even the darkest corners of space. If you are lost, if you are dying, if darkness comes for you, call out. Humanity will answer. And somewhere in the vast emptiness between stars, ancient consciousnesses that had fed on fear for eons felt something new stirring in the galaxy. Something unpredictable. Something dangerous. Something human.